Hey everybody, I want to talk about a product and platform that I absolutely love and our latest sponsor, Interseller, the prospecting and outreach platform of choice for recruiters and sellers. Whether you're doubling down on business development or recruiting talent, Interseller does all the heavy lifting of finding contact data, automating the email and follow-up process, and syncs all that rich data into 20 plus CRM and ATS platforms. Reach out now and get going on a 2-week free trial and let them know you heard about it from Adam on the podcast today. Check out the link on the website. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the podcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host, Adam Posner.
Freestyle. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast where we're bringing the best and the brightest from the world of business, marketing, and hockey and personal growth to help you harness your inner tenacity to drive your career forward. Folks, my guest today on the podcast is former NHL player and current life and strategy coach, Dave Scatchard. Dave was drafted in 1994 to the Vancouver Canucks and played over 650 games on various teams in the NHL, including 5 seasons with my New York Islanders. Dave played until 2011 when he took a particularly dirty hit and walked away with a life-altering 5th major concussion. And he spent years afterwards on Alzheimer's medication and putting his all towards recovery with no real sign of hope. And doctors at the Mayo Clinic had all but completely written off a full recovery, but with the help of a life coach, Dave was able to turn things around in the right direction. And Dave has completely turned his life around and is coaching his own clients to do the same. And this one gets deep real quick, so let's get into it. Dave Scatchard, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. Fellow Islander fan, I'm even more excited to be here. You're the real deal. And we're going to have fun today. I'm excited.
Cool, and I see your Islander jersey behind you over there, over your shoulder. Let me ask you a question. I mean, before we even get into it, like, favorite restaurant in the area over here where I'm at? Are you like a Vincent's guy? I mean, I know Vincent's is all over the Coliseum, right? Like they're catering into it. But what was your spot? What was your spot, man?
Oh, wow. Dude, there were so many amazing restaurants. I don't know if I could pick one. What's the pizza joint there that everybody loves? Is it Grimaldi's? Is that a thing?
Well, Grimaldi's in Brooklyn, man. And we got La Piazza here in Merrick, which wasn't too far away. But I can imagine after many teams in many cities, it starts to get a little hazy there. Right? But let's jump into it. And I think it's always important, especially I love talking to hockey players. Quick little factoid here: when I went to University of Buffalo and I interned for the Buffalo Sabres from '99 to 2001, I was there on the ice, if you recall, when Brett Hull kicked the puck into the net to win. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I was on the ice I opened the door to let the Stanley Cup out, the guys with the cup. And those Buffalo fans, I mean, you know Buffalo, man, they were hauling hot dogs, anything that they could throw. And I was getting nailed, man. And that was actually one of the most memorable experiences of my life.
Wow. That was a huge goal. And that rule was kind of like a newer rule, like within the last couple of years. They were real sticklers the whole time, but it was such an emotional time, and
they won.
Yeah. Like you couldn't put the dragon back in the box after everyone jumped on the ice.
And that was the whole thing, man. It's like, how do you stick the genie back in the bottle, right? Like, right. And the cup is coming out, and the team, it was a disaster. And that city rioted afterwards, man.
Wow.
They were hardcore. But let's bring it back. What was it like growing up in Canada in Salmon Arm? What was it like there growing up as a kid?
Yeah, I spent a lot of my earlier years in Hinton, Alberta, and then I moved to Salmon Arm. And, in Hinton, everything was frozen. It was this prairie town.
Like all year round?
Like most of the year round. And my dad worked in the coal mines. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. And there wasn't really a lot to do. Like, it just seemed like everybody would go to the ponds or go to the outdoor rinks or whatever. And in my book, The Comeback, My Journey Through Heaven and Hell, which I thankfully is a bestseller on Amazon. Oh yeah. I share some of these stories where like the ice would freeze all the way through on these ponds right to the ground, and parents would drive vehicles out onto the freaking ice surface and have a tailgating party and like sometimes start fires on top of the ice. Like that's how crazy it was, and
how cold it
was. Cold it was. How cold it was. And I remember one time I had some soup in my thermos in my Scooby-Doo lunchbox, and I'm standing waiting for the bus, and it was so brittle and cold that my little plastic cheap lunchbox just broke in half and just fell, and my thermos just fell on the ground and started rolling down the sidewalk. Like you'd lick your zipper and your tongue would stick to the zipper. Like that's how cold it was. And that was like, I thought everybody lived like that. And what's funny is I'm thinking back to it now. I used to like love freestyle BMXing and BMX riding and stuff. And I'd buy these magazines like BMX. And I would look and I'd see people riding in December with no shirts on in California. And I'm like, oh my God, one day I'm going to live in a place where it's not
one
so
day
cold.
I could take my jacket off. I mean, I can't even imagine. But like, how did that environment like really like toughen you up as a kid? You know, I assume you're out on the pond. You know, that's where you got your first taste of hockey. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like almost all the kids there, boys and girls, were on skates and before they could even walk, right?
Yeah. It was I probably got put on ice at 2 or 3 years old, and I didn't know what I was doing. I stumbled around. I think they gave us a little chair to push around on the ice for balance and stuff, but that was kind of how it started. Nobody is sitting there showing you how to do a perfect stride or how to stop or anything. So the funny thing is like, I look back on those moments and like, it wasn't even a big deal. That was the only thing that I knew. I didn't know any other life. So then like later on when life gets hard or when it's freezing or whatever, like now I'm kind of soft because I'm living in Arizona. But
I mean, you're literally a polar opposite there.
Yeah. But I told myself one day I'm going to live somewhere where I don't have to shovel the driveway. And I do that. Yeah. But yeah, man, it was a beautiful way to grow up as a kid. A lot of freedom. I was allowed to run around, ride my rollerblades. I tell some hilarious rollerblading stories in the book because back then they weren't a thing. I had one of the first pairs of rollerblades probably in Canada. Wow. And I used to race the school bus. I used to race the school bus these 3 or 4 miles, and the kids on the bus would like pull ahead, and then it was like a movie. Like they'd be cheering out the window, like go, and then like they'd pull away and I could barely see the bus, and then they'd have to stop and pick somebody up, and I'd come racing and jumping the curbs, and like it became this fun game where everybody even the bus driver was laughing and looked forward to those races.
But think about that, like think about how times are different now. I mean, listen, polar opposite. You have kids now; they're growing up. Technology is different, but like kids were outside. I mean, I remember that, right? I'm turning 43. We're relatively close in age, right? Like. Mm-hmm. We did things. We went outside, we played, and I see my kids playing, but you know, technology is pulling them closer. I mean, how are you raising your kids as a father to still give them that taste of adventure and exploration and physically doing things instead of just being inside of the freaking screen all day? Yeah, it's a great question, and it's a real problem. And you know, one of my kids, he's a genius. He's they're all really smart kids, but this kid's like got a photographic memory and stuff. And he doesn't study, and he gets away with it. And he had 100% grade in this certain class, and all of a sudden he starts getting like D's and C's and F's. And I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, hey, bud, like, what? Talk to me. He's like, no, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I didn't know those 20 assignments were due. And I'm like, what world are you living in? I said, tell me what's going on. I end up finding out that he's wearing a beanie at school, and he's got his phone in his pocket, and he's listening to music. So when she's handing out the homework or the assignments, like he's not even paying attention. But he's so smart that he'll get 100% on the tests, but he doesn't know when any of the homework's due because he's not paying attention. So his phone's up for a month right now, and he's a more peaceful kid. He's a more relaxed kid, and we don't let them go even on social media. It's just like texting his buddies and like all this stuff. And I have a 10, 11, and 14-year-old, and it's a different world. We didn't grow up with that stuff. And truthfully, like you asked me how we raise our kids. Well, we went up to Telluride. We drove 7 hours. We did a road trip to Telluride from Scottsdale, and we had no electronics on the trip. And our kids just hiked, and we hiked up to these mountains. Like they did like 5-6 mile hikes, like through the mountains and up to these waterfalls. They were the happiest kids. We played cards every night, like just like how you and I would do as we were kids. Getting back to basics, right? Just getting back to basics. That's what you got to do. I'm gonna try to do that. I want to get back to your story growing up. When did either you or someone else recognize that you had a gift out there playing hockey? Was it that moment? Was there somebody who was it that said this dude's got the gift?
think that there were multiple times when it, like, I didn't think anything of it, but other people were seeing things. And I ended up playing with kids that were 2 years older than me at a certain point, just because I needed more competition. We were in this little small coal mining town.
Push yourself.
Yeah. So I moved up two levels. And then I was like the best player on those teams. And then I remember this referee, and true story, his name was Jason Morrell. I think I put it in the book. He was a really good player. He's probably the best player in the town. But when he wasn't playing in like Pee Wee or Bantam, he would referee games. And he came down to referee our game. I think I had 8 or 9 goals. And he walked into my dressing room, and I was young. I was like, man, like 9 or 10. And he came in and he goes, hey, I just wanted to see if you'd do an autograph for me. And I started laughing, right? I'm like, yeah, right. And he's like, because I idolized him. And he's like, no, man. He's like, you're going to make it. And I'm like, make what? He's like, you're the best player that I've ever seen in this town. Like, you have a chance. So that was my first autograph when I was like 10. And
that's a great story.
And I don't know if I put that in the book, but it's like, then I went to training camp. This is a hilarious story where I slept the night in my dad's truck. It was freezing cold. We didn't have much money, so we couldn't afford a hotel room. I sleep in my dad's work truck. All the seals are broken because he works in the coal mines. So it's freezing. Like the whole inside of the thing is frozen.
Might as well just slept outside. Like there was no point.
No point. It was awful. Yeah. And then my dad, I'm just shivering the whole night, and my dad's freezing. So we end up zipping our sleeping bags together and like literally spooning in the freaking truck for the night.
Do what you got to do.
I wake up and I hear all these car doors slamming. So we got woke up by kids showing up at the rink for this camp. And I thought I was doing a camp with kids my age, as like a development camp or something, right? That's what I was there for. We drove 3 hours to get there, spent the night in the truck. I walk in and dudes have like beards, hairy chests, like huge legs, huge chest. They're all like
what the
way bigger than me. And I'm like, what is going on? So I look at my dad, like panicked. He goes, I'll find out what's going on. He walks up. He's like, yeah, Dave Scatchard's here. And I'm thinking there might be another ice surface that these other guys are going on or something.
Rink or something.
And it wasn't. I was invited to main camp for like these 16 to 20-year-old kids. And I'm 12. I don't even have, I haven't hit puberty. I'm just this little skinny kid. I have Cooperall pants on. Remember the Cooperall pants? Nobody else had those. I was the only kid. I had a full XL7 face mask on. And then, so the GM comes out to have a talk with my dad, and like, we got to get on the ice. Like the time's crunching down. We got 30, 40 minutes. I'm frozen. I'm trying to have a hot chocolate to warm up. That's like my breakfast. And then the guy's like, well, we can't let him out there. He's going to get killed. My dad's like, look, we just slept the night in the truck. Can you just give him one shot? Like give him one ice session. If it's too rough for him or whatever, then we'll pull him. Well, I go out there, and my very first shift, they put me on a line with 2 tough guys. And I remember them coming into the dressing room saying, do what you do. If you're a goal scorer, score goals. If you're a hitter, hit. If you're a fighter, fight. Well, very first shift, the 2 guys beside me drop their gloves and just start beating the tar. It's like a line brawl. And I'm like looking across at my centerman, and he goes like, he's smiling. He's like, you want to go? And I'm like, no. Like I was terrified. So they're
fighting a giant,
so
right?
These guys fight. Anyways, long story short, I'm terrified. I'm trying to get killed the first 10 minutes of the game, but then I kind of find my rhythm and I start to make some plays, and then I wasn't scared anymore. And then afterwards, my dad's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I think I want to try to play again, like tonight. So man. I played again. I scored a goal that game. I come back the next morning. I score another goal. And then the last game, the like sort of championship thing, I had 2 goals and an assist and scored the game winner on a breakaway, skating for my life, by the way. That's amazing. So I was 12 and I was playing against some really big, tough dudes, and somehow I survived, and God protected me. And I was just like, all right, let's do this. You know?
Do you remember like during that time, like that one of the first times that one of those big dudes just smashed you?
Oh yeah.
You're like, this is what it feels like. This is like a real hit.
Well, and then I didn't want to cry, right? Like it knocked the wind out of me, but I'm like, I got to get my head on a swivel. Like if these guys hit me, they're going to hurt me. Because like no joke, I was probably the skinniest kid that you've ever seen in your life. I have pictures that would make your head spin. And I was probably at 12 years old. I would have been about like maybe 100 pounds, maybe.
So come what?
And I'm playing against guys who are 210, 220.
Yeah, like fully developed male adult human beings here. Yeah. I mean, listen, you did what you had to do, right? You had to go out there and do your thing, and that just built confidence. I can only imagine like how that toughened you up, and you were ahead of the curve there. So talk to us. What's it like? You know, what was that road like getting drafted by the Canucks?
Well, what's crazy was I wasn't rated at all to start the junior year. And then at Christmas, I was rated 168th in the world. And then I got mono, and I couldn't play for like the whole second half of the season. So this is my draft year. So I'm just like super depressed. I was 6'3". I'm 17, turning 18 years old. I'm 6'3", and I went down to 140 pounds. And I was really only about 180 normally, but I lost like 40 pounds, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And my spleen was 4 times the size. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't work out. Long story short, I ended up like secretly going off and trying to like do like 2-minute workouts. I remember I'd start on 2 minutes on the Stairmaster, and I go 2 minutes today, 3 minutes tomorrow. Let's just try to like keep ourselves like moving. And after a certain amount of time, I think the sweating started to like help clean out my system, and I started to like feel better. And by the time that the doctors cleared me to play, it was almost playoff time. And I had great playoffs. I played with Lonnie Bohannes and Adam Deadmarsh, who both went on to play in the league at certain points. Adam was a superstar, had to retire early because of concussions. And then the crazy thing was, Adam, is I went back to my hometown after the season, and I just trained, like, because I missed so much time. And I trained hard, like really hard, the hardest I've ever trained. And then we went back for what would essentially be like the NFL Combine, but it's the NHL Central Scouting Fitness Testing.
I'm sure there's an acronym for that.
And I ended up finishing first in the world for any of the kids that were testing. And that really ranked highly with Vancouver. I go into the meeting with Vancouver, and they say, listen, we think you have potential, but you're really raw. Like, you might spend some time in the minors. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, man, like whatever it takes to get to the NHL. It's a higher level than juniors. So that's moving up, in my opinion. And then George McPhee, the GM of the Vegas Golden Knights now, he said, well, what if you have to play there like a while? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And he goes, well, like, what do you mean? Like, how long would you play before you'd go to Europe and make some real money or whatever? And I go, I wouldn't. I'd just stay there because I want to play in the NHL. He goes, like, 2 years? I'm like, I'd say there 10 years if I knew that I was going to get to the NHL, because I'm here to play in the NHL. I'm not trying to go to Europe. And he's like, dude, that's the best answer I've had all day from anybody that asked that question to. And he's like, I just want you to know, you finished first in the world in this fitness testing, and we look for athletes. And he said, we can teach you how to play hockey, but we can't teach you how to be an athlete.
Where does that work ethic and discipline come from? Was that from your dad? Was that from your parents? Is that something you had inside?
Yeah, man. My dad was just, he was like an army dad. And to end that last story, I ended up getting drafted 42nd overall in the world, which is like, I was shocked. It was in the second round. It was on day one. Back then they had 2 days of the draft. It was huge and big honor. And that was, I'm like, wow, this is really happening.
It's real. It's happening.
Yeah. So the work ethic, my dad just would push me in a healthy way. He would challenge me. He'd say, well, what do you think? Because he knew how bad I wanted it. He goes, what do you think are some things you could do to help you make it? And I'm like, well, I mean, I got to get stronger. I got to get a harder shot. I need better conditioning. I need to be faster, like everything. So he goes, what are some things you think you could do at home? And I'm like, well, maybe I could get ankle weights for Christmas and wear ankle weights everywhere. Maybe I could rollerblade every day to school. Maybe I could run in the woods every day. Maybe. And he said, what about your shot? And I said, I think if I gathered pucks after the big boys practice, maybe I could take 100 pucks home and shoot those 100 pucks like every day. And I religiously did this. This was like meditation for me back in the day. And I would shoot thousands and thousands and thousands of pucks.
Physical muscle memory and mental muscle memory.
Yeah.
And think about that exercise back then to where you are now, and we'll get into the journey, how important that discipline and skill set was. So fast forward, let's talk about your I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I want to add to that. I want to add to that,
please,
because I know where you're going with it. And it's like, I was doing visualization exercises before that was like a common thing. And my dad would say, like, see yourself like practicing. If you can't get out on the ice, like see yourself making moves. And I would literally like consciously go, I'm going to go visualize for like 30 minutes. And this is like a little kid. Like, and I can't tell you the amount of times where I had deja vu, where I had already made a move or fallen into the boards or fought somebody, and I already did it in my mind. And I'm like, where have I done this before? And it was like during these visualization practices, actually, like, I don't do them the way that I used to do them now. I should almost bring that back into my life because I was really good at it. And, I believe in manifestation. I believe
that's literally what was on my tongue, Dave. Like, I was literally about to spit out, and you're manifesting, and that's the way it works.
Yeah. And we're connected to the same field now. So this is like, we're going to start thinking with one brain as we go along here. And what people don't understand is there is an energetic field, and that's a whole nother conversation. But this is the world that I live in now, where we're working with energy. We're working with the field, and we're having impact on humanity in ways that, like, it would sound crazy if it wasn't happening and I couldn't prove it, but we've proven it. The last year we had 17,000 people come through our free challenges. We had over 200 new clients coming from my coaching programs. And it's like, that stuff doesn't happen if we're not bringing in the right juice, the right energy. And I didn't understand the energetics until I began training with some incredible people. And we'll get into that later.
CEOs and chief people leaders don't magically wake up with a staff full of people ready to execute their vision. And nowadays, it's harder than ever to find a decent staff without it taking months. That's where HireAct comes in. HireAct is the first chat-based hiring app that lets hiring managers and recruiters chat directly with job seekers. Just download the app and enjoy curated recommendations that fit your job description to a T. It's 10 times faster than any other hiring process on the market. And the best part, it's totally free. Download HireAct today, available in all app stores across the U.S. Please visit www.hireact.us/recruit and tell them that you heard of it from Adam on the podcast. Thanks. I've had the opportunity to speak to some other great world-class athletes like yourself, and I love to ask about that rookie season. If you could share with us one just crazy, fucked up, silly, stupid story from rookie year.
Oh my God, there's like 1,000. Like
all of them.
You can imagine. You can imagine. Like my mentality is I'm a small town kid from Canada, and now all of a sudden, like
Vancouver's a big city.
I'm in Vancouver. I started the season in Japan. Mark Messier is my roomie. Like really? I used to watch the guy on TV. He was one of my idols.
And you're in the room with him, like just hanging out at night. Yeah, it's like,
and he's like mentoring me, and he's teaching me like things about the league and all this stuff. And then my rookie dinner is like $25,000, and my first 2 or 3 paychecks didn't cover what I owed Mess because my credit card only went up to $5,000. So like
this is real, man.
It's real talk, and it's like but there were things that I did really well, and there were other things that I would have liked to do better. And one of the things that I didn't execute on, and Mess tried to tell me this. He said, your first year, especially the way you play, Dave, where you're hitting everybody and you're gonna have to fight and stuff. He's like, you should go crazy on a couple of guys, like smash their teeth out, like cross check them, go like a crazy guy. And that's not my real nature, but like, what he said, what he's trying to tell me was I will get so much more room on the ice, and people will not challenge me as much if they're afraid, if they've seen a highlight of me cross-checking some guy right in the face and knocking his teeth out, like they might think that might be coming to them. And I never got it. And it was such good advice, like in a way, like you're going to have to fight way less over the next 10 years of your career if you can just blow some people up right away and have people be afraid of you. And I never got it. And I wish I could have executed that a little bit better.
But let's talk about this rookie year. I mean, what impression did you want to make? Did you want to be known as a scorer, a speedster, a fighter, an enforcer? I mean, what did you want to be known for?
Well, I knew I knew I had a goal scorer in me. I was really raw. They had Mark Messier, Pavel.
And you were playing center at the time?
Yeah. And like Lonnie Bohanna scored 50 goals in the minors the year before, but he didn't make the team. Like I missed listen, this is a crazy story. It's in the book. I had to get heel surgeries 3 times leading into training camp. So I couldn't even skate like before camp. Like guys are skating for months, like July, August, getting into September. Yeah. I couldn't put skates on. They wouldn't fit on my feet until about 2 weeks before training camp. I remember bench pressing 225 29 times at training camp. Like that's like NFL numbers, but I couldn't work out my legs because I had all these surgeries on my heels because they were hollow. Yeah. It was like the weirdest thing. So long story short, what did I want to do? I wanted to get in the league. Then Mike Keenan took over and I was terrified because he hates young guys. And I'm like, he's going to send me down. He's going to bury me and I'm never going to play. So I just was like a freaking animal. And there was this turning point where the game was 2-2. I feel this kick in the back of my kidneys. And I turn back. I'm like, I pretended to ignore it. I just didn't want to get on his bad side. It was the second game he was coaching us. Then I felt another kick in my other kidney, hard, right where the pants and the shoulder pads like don't meet in the back. Yeah. And I turned around. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, what have you done tonight? And I'm like, nothing. I haven't had a shift yet. And we're in the second period. And he goes, I don't even know who you are. Who are you? He says, I think I'm going to send you down tomorrow. And I'm like, put me on the ice. I'll do something. Show me. He's like, no, you're not going to do anything. And I'm like, I'll do something. Put me on the ice. He's like, and the play's going on. Like, he's not even looking at the play. He's just having a fight with me on the bench. So the whistle goes. There's a face-off right by our bench. And he lines me up on left wing. I'm a right-handed centerman or right winger. He puts me on the left wing. And I'm like, well, I got to do something now. So I look over at the guy beside me, and I think it was Boston or Pittsburgh. There's a black jersey, I remember. And I just said, hey, you want to go? And the guy's like, yeah, let's go. And I just beat the piss out of him. And I'm punching him in the face, like starting the lawnmower, just down on the face. And I'm looking up at Keenan. I'm not even looking at the guy that I'm hitting.
You're looking at him.
I'm looking at Keenan like, F you, like, shame on you for
projecting.
Making me
You were
do
projecting. That was his face.
So
I remember him.
The refs come and grab me. And they wrap their arms around me and they try to turn me around to skate me across from the bench to the penalty box. But I don't turn around. And I'm staring at Keenan like...
So he's holding you and you're pulling you backwards like this.
He's pushing me. He's pushing me backwards towards the penalty box. And I'm staring at Keenan and I have rage. I have rage in my eyes. I'm like, I've never been called out by a coach like that ever. And I'm like, F you, right? And then Keenan's looking at me and all of a sudden this huge... shit-eating grin breaks out across his face.
He knew what he was doing. It's a mastermind right there.
He loved it. So I went from being his whipping boy, which I still kind of was, but he knew he could push me and I would respond. He hated it if he would push a guy and the guy would shrivel up. He hated that. So
that's his technique. That was his coaching technique.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's what he did. And
old school. It's old school. It's old school, man.
And anyways, I became one of his probably favorite players.
Yeah. Hey, dude, you mentioned some names there. It was funny. I mean, I was a Pavel Bure fan growing up. That was the only other jersey I had aside from the Islanders. I felt like Vancouver was in another division. It was far enough away, and that was a badass jersey too. The old school Canucks jersey. That was a cool jersey.
I think I have it over here. Let me turn my camera.
There it is. I had it in black. I have that in black with Bure. Number was it 10 or 11? I think.
He was 10. He was 10. He was fast. He was
fast as fuck.
He was explosive. The weird thing about Pavel is he never really shot high, and his stick was super stiff, like so stiff. But the way he moved on the ice, he didn't need to go high. He would get the goalie moving laterally with his speed, and then he could either tuck it in behind him or shoot it in front of him. And he was so good.
That was a good one, man. I want to wrap up hockey. The hockey stories for a little bit. I mean, listen, hockey. People talk about fighting in hockey, but that's the sport. That's what keeps it. It polices itself, and we moved a lot away from that in recent years. We'll get to that in a second. But I went down the rabbit hole. I was telling you this before, and I started just going deep into some of your fights. I mean, who was the toughest? I watched Rob Ray, Danico, McSorley, Thornton. Like who are you scared? Like who were you like? Oh fuck! Oh man, I got to go up against this guy now.
You know what? There's two. Ty Domi.
Oh, he was a beast.
Always made me nervous, and I'll tell you why. Because if I fought him and I beat him, then I'd have to fight him again and again and again. Do you see what I'm saying? Because like that's what he did. Like that's all he did, right? I could score some goals. I could be on the power play if they need me, but like I didn't want to just fight, right? But that's kind of when I first started. That's what it was. I didn't have to face him very much when I was out west. when I went out east, we had some run-ins, and he's the one guy where I'm like, well, I'll do it, but I'm going to kind of be a little bit on the defensive because here's why. I saw Bob Probert punch him in the face about 75 times, and it didn't do anything to him. So if Proby can't hurt him, I don't know if Dave Scatchard's going to like knock this guy out. And if I did, then now I got to know what I do every single time I play Toronto. So I would hit him. I would play physical against him, but like I didn't really want to fight Ty Domi. He was one of the few guys in the league that like I kind of would rather not. And most everybody else, like I would say yes to. And there was I really only really remember saying no to Ty. And one time Chris Simon was in Washington.
He's a big dude too.
Yeah, but I don't care if he hears this. I didn't have any respect for him. I had a dislocated shoulder one year in New York, I think. And we're playing the Rangers. And he grabs me and I said, hey, I got my arm in a sling. I can't move my arm. I can't fight you. I'll fight you next year. I promise, like whatever. And he's just like,
promise to fight.
He's like, hey, fuck you. And he grabs me and he just jumps me. And I got one arm. It was like fighting with one arm against this guy.
That's not cool.
So I slew foot him. I end up trying to eye gouge his eyes out. He's biting my fingers. Like, it's like this whole thing.
Fuck.
But I I hated that guy. And Sandy McCarthy, I fought. But like, what's weird was none of the guys, and I'm not saying this mean, but like none of the guys were as scary, tough as I thought they were going to be. Once I got over like, well, I'm fighting this guy, like it's happening. I just kind of got calm and relaxed. And I was like, well, we've done this before. Let's go. And there's a great story in my book about me getting the tar beat out of me when I was 16 and my nose is to my side. And I fought this guy that was like way bigger than me, toughest guy in the league. And I'm 16. It was my first fight. He exploded my nose all over my face. My first fight on skates. And I remember going home that day and I was so proud of myself because I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to get beat up like that ever again. And it's not even that bad. It wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like, so I can fight anybody. That's my mindset. Is like, I'll just fight anybody.
Who was the best player you played with that made you better?
Well, there's like three parts to this. Alexander McGillney, I thought was one of the best all around, sneaky, good, like goals. He had 76 goals one year, I think, but like he was good defensively. He would hit a guy sometimes. He'd rock a
two-way player. Yeah.
But he would only like he played the game on his own terms and his own rules, and like he was my best all around teammate. I thought Pavel was very explosive and one of the best finishers I ever saw. Mess was one of the best leaders, but it was a tough go in Vancouver. When I played with Jason Blake in Long Island, I thought we had, and Blakey got my book. He asked me to send him a copy. We had a little chat and he's like, you were my favorite centerman I ever played with. And he said, I was so disappointed when he went up to the first line. I basically went down after scoring 27 goals to like, I led the team in goals. And the next year when Laviolette took over, I went down to the fourth line. And I'm like, and I didn't stand up for myself. I should have said something. Like I should.
Why didn't you?
Because my mentality, and this is partly a default, because the way I was raised is you're a team player. You're grateful for the ice time that you get. You don't rock the boat, and be grateful that you're playing in the best league in the world. That was partly how I was raised. That was really very much how I was raised. So that was part of the reason why I lasted, because I was a great teammate and stuff. But at what expense? At my own personal development expense? Like it,
right.
If I would have fought for that ice time, it could have transformed my career. But instead I come off this 27 goal a year. Then I go to the fourth line and work between the third and the fourth line the whole year. And I'm not playing with Blakey anymore. They trade Jason Weimer. They blew up our line. And we had the number one line in the NHL after November of that year where I scored 27. Blakey had his best year. Weems had his best year. And I had my best year. And we were a third line. And we didn't play power play. Blakey played a little bit of power play, but we didn't play very much. But I don't know why they did that. And it was so fun coming to the rink that year. I just knew I was going to score like all the time. We had such good chemistry.
Even in the old barn, right? Even like the Coliseum.
I love
right?
that old barn. Like,
It's raw. The fans. I mean, well, that's a good question, man. Like, I mean, straight up, all the teams you played for, which team had the best fan base? Were you like they were in it to win it? They had our back, win or lose. They looked out for us.
well, win or lose, I don't know, because when I first got to the Isles and Spano was in jail and all this stuff, it was a disaster because like the fans didn't know like everything. It was just a total gong show. And then, but when we had that playoff run, even though it was against Toronto and we went to Game 7 and the fans were in it, like it was loud and they were like all in. And I believe that, you know, after we got there, I think we made the playoffs 2 or 3 times in a row before I went off on as a free agent. And I think that we really started to change the culture back from that weird dip that was there. And we're trying to get back. And I think right now they're in the best spot that they've been in years, and they can do some real damage.
I can't wait. They just opened up that new UBS arena here in Elmont, which I'm excited to check out. I want.
Are they playing in it? Are they playing?
Start in like next week? I think it's the first game against. I think it's against Vancouver.
How exciting! That's
super
exciting.
And I'm excited to check out. I mean, I love a new arena, man. I mean, where it's. I mean, you've been. I mean, the technology. They're beautiful, man.
So the Islanders brought us in there to see when they were building it, and they were telling us everything that's going to be in it, and the technology alone that's in it is going to be insane. If they did half of the things that they were telling us that they were intending to do, this is like a year or 2 ago.
Are you talking about the Brooklyn arena?
Oh yeah.
Well, they played there for 2 years, and now they built a new arena, a new one where Belmont with a racetrack.
I know, that's what I mean. They went out there, and there was this hole in the ground, and they walked us around the site with all these, and they're they're like, we're employing like 20,000 employees, and we're just gonna get this thing done quick. And I was like, holy smokes, if they do, this thing's going to be sick.
It's nice too. It stands out, man. I mean, listen, seriously, next time, if you come up here for that, I'd love to meet up for a game there.
Yeah.
But I want to wrap this up. Your proudest moment on ice in the NHL. And maybe it wasn't like a winning moment, right? Like it was, maybe it was a goal, maybe it was a hit, maybe it was in the locker room, right?
There were hundreds
after a shitty game, right?
There was so many. I know kind of where you're going with this, and I'll share an interesting story. So we were playing Toronto, and they took out Mike Pekka's knee in the playoffs, and I said something in the media that was like, you know, we're going to get these guys, we're going to make them pay, or we're going to do this or that. And Keenan was Milbury was really mad that I said that, because it went all across Canada. It was like this big thing. And he's like, well, you know, now if we do anything, we're going to get suspended and stuff. And I'm like, Mike, don't worry, I'll handle it. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't worry, I'll handle it. And the next time Toronto came in, I can't remember if it was like in playoffs or like whatever. The whole media, the Toronto media is like the worst. They're so gossipy, and they built this big fight thing up with my name attached to everything. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm fighting Ty tonight, or I guess I'm, you know, like whatever.
Go down.
And I couldn't. Normally, it's weird. Normally, I'd be nervous before the game or whatever. I was so calm, and I'm just like, well, I got to back up my words. Like I said that I'm going to protect my teammates like this. And the very first shift, Shane Corson is at center, and he's normally on the wing. Of course, it's pretty tough. And Weems looks over at me and goes, hey, like, let me play center. I'm like, no, I got this. This is my I started this thing. Like, I got it. He's like, Scatch, like, just heads up. And he's he's telling me. And I'm like, don't worry, I got it. And I squared off with Corse, and we had a great fight. The fans were fired up. He was trying to knock my block off. I was trying to knock his block off. We ended up like having an okay fight, decent fight. And on the way to the box, of course, like kind of gave me props. He's like, hey, attaboy kid. And he's like, you're, you know, good job, like way to show up or something like that. And like, that was a moment, like you wouldn't think you'd be proud, but like that had been building and building and building and building. And anybody can spout off but to like back it up and do it for your teammate. This had nothing to do with Dave Scatchard. Like those are my teammates you're attacking. You know what I mean? Like, screw you guys. And I was proud of that, because that was the type of player that I was. I would stick up for my teammates. So that, you know, you talk about that. It could be the time I scored 100 goals, right? My 100th goal, or my 200th, 300th point or whatever. Like I don't know if I got 300, maybe 200. I wish I had
289.
My 200th point. Like those could be the things. They could be.
Those are milestones.
I had 2 hat tricks.
Memories.
Actually, in Long Island, I had 2 hat tricks in the same month. That was really magical because I'm like, holy smokes! Like I was up for Player of the Month in the NHL. Like, and I'm Dave Scatchard from a town of 6,000 people that people told me I'd never make it, and it's too small, and I'm too skinny, and like. Now I'm in the show and I'm doing stuff like that. That's pretty proud.
This is the goods, man. And let's take to the dark side here, right? You've had your hits, you've taken it, been rattled around, but take us to that final hit. You know, what did you feel and what was going through you when like, did you know it was over at that point when you took that last? It was a pretty shitty hit too.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 ways we can go with this. There's
dealer's choice.
There's a shortened version, which I think is the right call for now. If you want to hear the rest, you can read the book. I get lit up when I get sent down to the minors from St. Louis, and there's 4 games to go left in the minors, and they're going to bring me back up for playoffs. And the puck drops. It's the start of the game. I make a great play. I'm going full speed. I make a backhand pass, and this defenseman, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, after I pass the puck, like, I don't have any guard up. I'm going full speed. He's coming at me full speed. Blows me up. I'm knocked out in midair. I fall down. I hit my head on the ice. And for half a second, I'm actually like conscious. And then I just drop into unconsciousness for 9-10 minutes.
Wisdom is forever. But for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode soon. Jam-packed with more incredible humans. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and sharing. To join the conversation, search the podcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepodcast.com.